All right, for those of you watching the stream, please stand by. Trying to get something taken care of here before they start the race up. Once I am sure that this thing is taken care of, I can jump in and start doing broadcasting normally. So just please excuse a small delay here early on. There it is. All right. That's good. I apologize for that delay, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host for today's broadcast, Insane Layer 13. Real quickly, let's look over the drivers that will be running in today's event. Freelance 9801 is going to be taking over Darkster's role. He's also hosting the lobby, but he's also running. I should have invited Darkster for an invite at the end of the last stint. I didn't because I thought he was going to be running stint 4. I apologize for that. But anyways, Lancer is going to be picking up in the Aston Martin Vantage. I think that this car right now is in the overall lead out of everyone that's in this lobby. ECH Noble is picking up the number 6 Lexus result. The Lexus has come off of a 4th place and a 3rd place finish, so they are on the run uphill. Really interested to see what they can pull off here. Scarlatti is in the Porsche in the number 742. They finally got a lead lap finish. I'll be looking forward to trying to back that up. Flux Nova is taking over the HYR BMW. This car dominated stint 1, had a horrible stint 2 where it went a lap down, was dominating stint 3 before disconnecting with about 18-20 minutes left to go. So they are now in a hole that they have to dig out of. NWR No Thumbs is representing the 156 Audi. NWR Enzo is representing the I think that's the number 15 Acura. ESR Eclectic is in the 206 Aston Martin. Aston Martin LMP entry. This car has really been struggling. It's up to him to try and recover and turn things around. Darken 59496 is in the 8E2 BMW. That is brought up by the LMP esports team. They had a decent run, a win in the most recent stint, so they're running high right now. D. Chris Slow is back in the Audi, while Nuke X1617 is in the Audi as well. ZR Amarillas is in the lone Mercedes entry. They're looking to try and maybe steal a top 5 finish if something can happen. They've not had anything outright bad, just a lot of mediocre runs thus far. XDR Veloso, I believe this is Veloso's first run in the X3 Art 690 McLaren. They punched very well above their weight class, getting a 6 in the last stint, even though this car honestly does not feel like it's a top 5 or top 6 car, but they are starting to bring out some good performances. LMP TVR is back in the Cadillac. Back in Cadillac. LMP TVR has been the driver who's had the most success with the Cadillac thus far, so I'll be looking forward to seeing if he can do something with it here in Stint 4. C1 Crazy is in the maroon 697 Audi. Keep an eye on them. That car had a gigantic accident. It ran out of fuel, had a gigantic accident when it got ran into from behind and basically could not move. The car was stalled. So keep an eye on them. They're trying to dig themselves out of a hole. AWR Nismo, this car pulled out a unexpected 5th place finish in the most recent stint. There's definitely some speed and strength in this pit lane, but time is running out to really capitalize on it. AR Error 404, this driver was able to put this car on the podium earlier, but this Nismo has been slipping and been having worse and worse results since. It's up to Error to try and turn that around. Scored Buffalo, dragged this car up to as high as 2nd in stint 3, but then engine damage saw that 2nd dribble away into a 4th. It's still the best results of the IFEA team. They had a very middling, I think it was 11th or 12th place finish in stint 1. Did not finish in stint 2. 2nd place got knocked down at 4th place in stint 3. It's up to Buffalo to try and turn that around here. And then RZX Nix is going to be representing the AX4X machine once again. This car has just not been having good results at all. They have been able to finish its most recent stint at least, but still, this has been really, really bad. Nix really needs to see things get turned around here. We may have had a dropout. We had 19 drivers in the last few runs. We only have 18 right now, so we might be down a driver. A team may have withdrawn at this stage of the event. If that is so, I'm gonna be honest, I am not sure which one it is. We're also a little bit past the halfway point, so if I can do this before we get onto the track, I'm going to try real quickly and see where the lineup is at the moment. Drivers briefing, live timing. Okay. Let's see if the live... I don't know how up-to-date the live timing is right now. Okay, so yeah, we've got Stint 3 in at the moment, so... Okay, can't actually make any use of this, sadly. Sorry to say. I thought I would be able to, but no, that does not seem to be the case. It does look like most everything has been submitted thus far. There may be a few yeah, actually, no, I'm going to take that back. Maybe about maybe about a third of all the times have not been updated, so I apologize for that. So I can't actually get you updated on the overall distances right now. I apologize for that. I lied. I did not mean to lie. I'm sorry, but what I can do is I can give you all a bit of a catch-up, a bit of a recap over what has happened in some of the earlier stints thus far. So Stint 1 was really punchy from about 3rd and 4th on back, but at the front it was the HYR BMW, which had been driven by Skyline, that dominated every lap except one. Pretty easily walk away by them. Stint 2 was a little bit different. That same car started in first position, but only led a single lap before their driver, Bookie, ended up crashing. Now, it wasn't terminal. They were able to continue, but they lost the lead and just dropped out of the top 10, ended up finishing a lap down. That gave the lead over to Zula 808, who was in the Audi. They led several laps, but then they also lost the lead. And after Zula 808 lost the lead, about a lap later, he went off circuit and damaged the engine. In the process, he did end up being able to record a top 5 finish in the end. One second. He was able to record a top 5 finish in the end. So then it went to Sakura, who took over the race lead at that point. Was it Sakura? One second. Let me make sure I'm not talking out my rear here. I might be thinking of the wrong person. Yeah, FTC Sakura took over the race lead at that point. Sakura led until about 5 minutes before their planned stop, and then they disconnected, and then it went to a 4th different leader. That was SFN Darkser. Darkser went ahead and was able to take the win out of that. It was not a dominant win, but he did walk off with the win there without too much issue. Stint 3 was a little bit more interesting. Yellow HYR BMW with Skyline driving it once again took off and dominated early on, but with about 18 minutes left, lagged out, was not able to win. That ended up giving the victory to LMP Bilbo, a very unexpected victory, but LMP Bilbo pulled off the win in very unexpected fashion by just being silent, hanging on second, and when the leader lap dropped out, he held on to it. The interesting fight was between Buffalo, Koenigsegg, and Darkser. The three of them fought for what was 3rd place for the majority of the day. In the end, with the DNFs and how everything turned out, Darkser took home 2nd. Buffalo was as high as 2nd at one point, However, due to engine damage, the car drifted down the order, fell to 4th as Koenigsegg and the Lexus took home the 3rd place result. Also in that race, we saw a big accident from the maroon Audi. I believe it was the maroon Audi. Yeah, this one. It wasn't Crazy who was in it. I think it was Koenigsegg C1. I think we had 2 different Koenigsegg's or something. I might be getting people's name wrong. But it was this car that had a gigantic accident, ran out of fuel, and as it was trying to limp to the pit lane, with pit lane only about 40 feet away, got hit from behind, completely totaled the car. It could not go, had no fuel, and completely totaled engine. They tried going for about 2 laps, couldn't. 2 laps as the leader went by, could not. They ended up dropping out. Those are the big things. Also, Sadie in the Sadie, who has been working with the I forgot which team it was. It was FTC, I believe. FTC team ended up dropping out due to, well, they completed the race. They finished it a lap down, last of the runners, but they did complete the race, but they ran with the shoulder disconnected, and considering that FCC Soccer has not been able to finish either of their first 2 stints, that will be their best result thus far in this event. No, I'm most definitely set to, yeah, so I believe we're going to have 19 drivers. FTC Sadie has just joined the lobby. We are running a little bit behind right now, but I don't think it will be too bad. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Yeah, okay, so I think we're going to still have all 19 drivers here. I honestly thought at this point we'd start seeing dropouts, but no, it looks like FTC Sadie is going to be running in the McLaren, so keep an eye on that. ECH Noble may have left the group. Okay, so they may be having trouble keeping everyone in the lobby right now, but once everyone is in here and raid up, we should be able to get underway, as long as my voice holds up and Stint 4 doesn't end up being completely way off schedule. I will try my best to go ahead and stream Stint 5 and Stint 6 if it works out. Fingers crossed. Excuse me. Don't know what happened to take them out of the lobby, and it seems to be taking them a little bit to get back in. But assuming nothing else happens weird, we should be good here. In race time set to 14:30. Okay. Oh wait, did they get back in? If they got back in, we should be able to get underway shortly here. It said another person joined. All right, so it looks like we're loading onto the circuit. I guess, unless I missaw, I think we may only have 18 cars in this stint. Unless I missaw, I may have misseen. Waiting to start race. And the clock will start once the Forza 3-2-1 thing goes by. All right, 90 minutes are on the clock. So, by the looks of it, I think our front row starter here for Stint 2 is going to be this driver here, Darken. And mind you, this entry just won Stint 3 as well. So that will be very interesting to see work out. Real quickly, let's go ahead to the rail camera. But the 825, which just won Stint 2, is now going to... So we did get 19. So whoever it was that dropped out, they got back in. So it looks like we will have still all 19 people all 19 teams that started Stint 1 are still here with us in Stint 4. Darken will be on pole for Stint number 4. ESR Eclectic will be second place. So this will be interesting. The two LMP esports team at the front of the field, but we know that this car is not performing very well. It'd be interesting if Eclectic can turn it around. AWR Nismo is in third. This car has had some rough runs, but it seems like it's paying out because right now everyone's ordered based on where the entire field lined up with the combined distances of Stint 1 and Stint 2. So AWR Nismo third at the moment. Behind him is ECH Noble in the Lexus. Noble in the Lexus could bring this machine to an even better run with this good second row starting spot. Well, it would be fourth. We don't really do rows here. AR Error 404. This car got third earlier, but then has had some bad runs since. It's gotten gradually worse. It's up to Error to turn it around. But starting from fifth, he may have a chance to. Sixth place is NWR No Thumbs in the 156 Audi. Then behind them is LMP TVR. Really... No. Behind TVR is going to be Flux Nova. So this car that started on the pole in the first 3 stints now knocked down to 8th because Stint 2, remember, had that really, really bad finish, a lap down finish. Gonna be a really rough run for them. C1 Crazy is going to be in 9th. X3 Art Velozo in the 690 will be 10th. Then 11th. Then ZR Amaryllis. Okay, someone's zoomed off ahead. I don't know what's happened there. ZR Amaryllis should be 11th. Then following after that would be D Chris Solo in 12th. Nuke X1617 will be 13th. Scored Buffalo will be 14th. We'll have to again drive back from a really, really bad place. NWR Enzo will be 15th. RZX Nix will be 16th. 17th will be Scarlett 42. 18th will be FTC Sadie. Almost guaranteed to be at the back just due to having 2 different negative results here. Okay. So now we wait to get underway here. We should see the field start rolling in about 37 seconds or so. But clock is ticking. And we'll get underway here for Stint 4 of 6 here at Kylami very shortly. No one started moving yet. This is honestly the point that I expected to see our leader start rolling. Has someone backed out? Well, something's gone wrong. It looks like they're going to try and restart the lobby. Okay. Wonderful. Fantastic. Well, I've reset my clock. That's going to be a little annoying. This also kind of puts us a bit under the gun for Stint 5. Because now we are looking at maybe not being able to get this stint going in time. So don't know what's happened here, but something has gone wrong, it would appear. Everyone's still here, so we should be able to get right back into this without too much issue. So while we had done a good job staying up on time in the first 3 stints, it seems like, well, we lost time a bit in stint 1, but we were able to recover in stint 2 and 3. But it seems like we've dribbled away most of that time we've been ahead, and now we may be a bit behind the 8 ball. All right, take 2. Three, 2, 1, and go. All right. My 90-minute timer is going once more. All right, so as before, I'll run through the order again. We are looking at the 825 LMP Esports entry of Draken being first. Second is anticipated to be ESR Eclectic once again in the Aston Martin number 826, followed by AWR Nismo in the Bentley number 98. Fourth place is ECH Noble in the number 6 Lexus. Fifth should be 8R Error 404. 6th will be NWR No Thumbs in the 156. 7th will be LMP TVR in the 44. 8th will be Flux Nova 27 in the number 32. 9th will be C1 Crazy in the 697 Audi. 10th will be X3 Art Veloso in the 690 McLaren. 11th will be ZR Amaryllis in the 318 Mercedes. 12th will be D Chris Solo. 13th will be Nuke X 1617 in the 346 Audi. Don't know what Freelance is doing up there. Okay, Freelance is getting in line, I guess. Behind them will be Scored Buffalo in the 31. NWR Enzo will be 16th. RZX Nix will be 17th. 18th will be Scalarity 42. And 19th will be FTC Sadie. And that will line up the grid as necessary. So we should be able to get underway shortly here. You can see the field bunched up in that corner up there. Everyone got bunched up real quickly, so I'd hope they could start getting rolling relatively shortly here. Yeah, it's been a very interesting first 3 stints. All 3 stints have been interesting, but in different ways. Stint 1 was just a knockout, drag-out fight from about 4th on back. And 2nd and 3rd even had a bit of a fight go on as well for a little bit at the end of their 2nd fuel run. But the top 3 positions pretty much solidified early on there. Stint 2 was a little bit more of a legitimate fight, for the top spot early on. But then after the first fuel run ended, a lot of it was just 1v1 fights throughout the entire field. Stint 3, everyone got really spread out real quickly, but it was a lot of chaos and randomness that semi-randomized the order at the end. I don't think anyone got ridiculously screwed over outside of the HYR entry at the top. So I'm curious what flavor Stint 4 here is going to have as we see the field rolling around the first corner. it seems like the field goes green just about the time that the leader gets to the turn 4. So we watch Draken, or sorry, not Draken, Darken, as he runs right in front of Freelance. It will be BMW versus Aston Martin versus Bentley for a top 4, and green flag is out once again for the 4th time out of 6 here at Kylami. Freelance did not have a great run. It looks like the real fight's going to be farther back. ECH Noble is back there in the 5th position trying to make something happen here. Uphill now. You can see the Bentley trying to make a move on Eclectic. ECH Noble is watching, and yes, the Bentley is through. The Bentley has gotten by the Aston. Eclectic cuts down on the Lexus, but again, Aston Martin seems to be showing weakness here. Now we see Noble moving to the inside of Eclectic. So it seems like that LMP Esports Aston Martin just does not have the performance it needs. It drops tires in the dirt. It's off! Wow, he nearly hits the Acura. He keeps it straight somehow, but that could have been a big accident real quickly there. All right, up the road in 2nd and 3rd. Freelance trying to keep AWR Nismo behind him as Darken is starting to scoot away just a little bit in the BMW that won Stint 2 in a calm but semi-controversial way. Now Darken is trying to scoot away early on here. Freelance is not going to let him get away. Nismo is on the inside. Lancer is on the outside with Noble right behind. Lexus is on a bit of a recovery drive. 4th in Stint 2, 3rd in Stint 3, and now he's trying to move up into 2nd here in Stint 4. Gets side-by-sides, hip checks the Aston Martin. The Aston Martin trapped on the extreme outside, gets tires on the curb, is going to lose 2 positions in the corner. Might even lose 3. He barely stays ahead of LMP TVR. TVR will have a straight line speed advantage. We know that's the one thing that Cadillac is good at. Will he make a move into turn 4? No, he hangs out the rear of the car and is just going to follow behind. But both Aston Martins have already dropped down to top 4 in the first lap and a half. Right, there is a bit of a gap that's already formed from about 15 to 16. So Enzo, Nick, Scalarity, and Sadie all kind of tapped on top of each other. Those 4 cars just do not have the pace of the lead group right now. Error 404 and ECH Noble having a bit of a fight right now. Error wants to try and get up to Nismo before Nismo gets away, and Nismo wants to see if he can run down Darken here in the early parts of this race. No one in this field has won any of the earlier stints. A lot of these drivers, not a lot, but some of these drivers have not ran any earlier stints at all. Scored Buffalo, who had a horrible start, is still down in 14, has not had the great miracle start that he had in Stint 3. The race might still come to him, but it seems like the field being so packed up is really limiting his abilities to make moves right now. Boy, Error goes off, and he's not the only one. That was Noble. Noble has had a big off and may have damaged the car. I definitely heard something hit the wall. Is there damage? No damage according to the game, but Noble goes from 4th to 6th in that accident. Not a great run for Alexis. He's not lost too many positions. He can come back, but that's most definitely got to make things harder than he wants it to be made. This also will put him back behind one of the Aston Martins, so Freelancer will move his Aston back up into the 5th position. Meanwhile, ESR Eclectic, who was in the other Aston Martin, he's dropped to 8th. It's not as bad as this Aston's was early performance in Stint 2, but in Stint 3, but still it is not going good for this team. Flux Nova has gotten by, it's 3 yards below though. Meanwhile, farther up, Error 404 is in 3rd. This is where he finished Stint 1. He wants to try and capitalize on this. He is looking at Nismo just ahead. Nismo, it wasn't Nismo himself, I don't think it was, but Nismo went and had that car in the hands of another driver go too far on his tires, and while he was way faster near the end, he gave up a lot of lap time, maybe threw away a position or 2. Nismo is showing what this Bentley is really made of. Also of note, Darken is not really pulling away. In fact, right now, it looks like Nismo and Error could both be slightly faster than Darken at this stage of the stint. We're still very early on. We're not quite a full 10 minutes through, but we are definitely seeing a little bit more parity early on in this stint than we did earlier. FTC Sadie has completely lost touch with the back of the field, and then there's about a 4-car pack from 15th to 18th, and then everyone from 1st to 14th are all relatively tucked up close to each other here. 3rd and 2nd running almost nose to tail, keeping Darken just in their sights. out of the final corner, and that is LMP TVR. He has been the strongest driver of everyone who has been in the Cadillac thus far. He does have to deal a little bit with ECH Noble. Not now. No, TVR has actually opened the gap on Noble as Noble is trying to fight with Freelancer. So TVR in the Cadillac has brought the Stint to fourth. This is his best running position so far in this stint. Could TVR maybe do the impossible and bring a very, very iffy Cadillac into a podium position? Well, first he'll have to catch the podium position runners as they come out of turn 3 and now down this shorter back straightaway. We see Error, who is third, following Nismo, who is second. Both of them still have their eyes on Darkin ahead. 5 different manufacturers in the top 5 positions right now. It is BMW in the lead. It is Bentley in second. It is an Acura in third. It is a Cadillac in fourth, a Lexus in fifth. And then just to add to it, sixth place happens to be a Aston Martin. So 6 different manufacturers hold the top 6 positions at the moment. And right now, anyone in the top 4 looks like they might have the pace necessary to win this race. I think Error might be a little bit stronger than Nismo and Darkin ahead, but neither of them are really getting too aggressive right now. I think Nismo just wants to be calm and let himself run the leader down, and Error might be thinking the same. Be calm, don't do anything crazy, let the driver ahead run down the leader. After you pass the leader, then go ahead and strike and try to take the lead a little later. Stint 1 only had 2 leaders, and one of them led all the laps except one. Stint 2 had 4 different leaders. Stint 3 had 3 different leaders, although one of them only led 2 laps due to pit stop strategy. We could be looking at another stint with multiple different leaders from things other than pit stop strategy. Nismo is on the outside of Darkin. They are neck and neck, BMW versus Bentley, as they dive into turn number 1. Nismo on the outside, Darkin on the inside. They touch about 3 times. They're not too aggressive on the touch, but it does look like Nismo has got the position. Nismo slides a little wide out of 2 into 3, but it looks like he's got the position. Darkin is right there behind. But now, this is Nismo's best chance. He needs to start opening up the gap and start running away because Error might be fast enough to still run them down. Darkin, who led the first few laps of this race from the pole, now has to deal with the fact that he is no longer in front and he is still being pressured from behind. Darkin might just not be the legitimate fastest car here, but guess what? Stint 3, this BMW was not legitimately the fastest car and still won by just being in the right place and right time. Darkin just needs to keep his head down, keep focused forward, and minimize mistakes, and he could still end up with a really, really good result. ESR Eclectic has fallen all the way back to last place. I wonder, has he made a pit stop due to a damaged car? It looks like that might be the case. Eclectic is already pitted, so I'm guessing he may have damaged his car off of something. I don't know if he hit the wall. I don't know if he rev bombed the engine and totaled it, but something has happened. Here comes Error now to the inside of the BMW. Oh, a big hip check, a big door check. Darkin is gone all the way to the outside. Error comes back to the inside. He will back out of it. He says, hey, that's not cool. I realize that, but it's gotten into Darkin's head. Darkin drops tires coming out of that high speed, second to last corner chicane, and now DVR in fourth is right there. Our top 4 drivers are all pretty much right on top of each other. Nismo is trying to change that now. Nismo is slowly opening the gap between himself and Darkin. Error needs to get by Darkin as fast as possible here. Coming down to turn 1, he looks to the inside, heavy under braking, Error versus Darkin. Error already has his nose ahead on the apex of turn 1. In turn 2, the BMW gets his nose ahead, but he's not in the ideal line for turn 3. It looks like the Acura should have it. Oh, and TVR is sideways. He's going to lose a bunch of time. He went a little bit too wide. He's going to lose a huge amount of time. And D. Chris Slow is also pitting. I wonder if he's taken damage from something else. So Darkin has just gotten back by Error now in turn 2. All right, still nose to tail here, second and third. Error still runs behind Darkin. Error seems to be faster than Darkin, but Error twice has gotten his nose ahead of Darkin. One time, he's gotten his entire car ahead, but he's backed up both times and said, hey, look, that was no bueno. You go ahead, take the position back. I want to make sure that this overtake is clean. And all while this is happening, Nismo is opening the gap, but it is not opening nearly at the rate that he would want. And Error is most definitely showing some incredible speed. He's not the only one. TVR in fourth might have something for the leaders as well if he can just minimize mistakes. Error dives to the inside once again. They made contact here last time. They'll make contact this time as well, but it's a lot less contact. Darkin holds on to second with a lot less issue as they come through the second to last high-speed kink once more. No real issue for our second or third place driver. Air really closes up under braking, but on acceleration, it is in favor of the BMW, it appears. Now the Acura will have a slight advantage in acceleration. Darkin is going to move to the extreme inside to defend against the Acura. The Acura only half follows. Now the Acura commits to the outside. He's got his nose ahead. Heavy under the braking zone. BMW inside. Acura outside. Then the Acura almost completes the overtake before they even get through turn 1. He will complete the overtake. No, he's not completing the overtake in turn 2. Darkin is still there in turn 3. And out of turn 3, the Acura completes it, drops tires in the dirt, will kill his run out of turn 3. And now here's TVR. He's got a run on both second and third placement. ECH Noble and the Lexus is right there as well. As I said before, the Lexus is on a bit of a recovery drive. Didn't have a great first stint, but stint 2 was a 4th place finish. Stint 3 was a 3rd place finish. He might be in position to maybe recover into 2nd. Our leader is skipping away a little bit, but Air has finally gotten by Darkin. Darkin is struggling to keep TVR behind him. Darkin is also using the draft to stay just behind the Acura. He's going to look to the outside. The Acura shuts the door. That's what Darkin wanted, because now this leaves the inside open. Neck and neck, side by side, BMW versus Acura at the top of the hill. The Acura closed on the outside. The line tightens up a little bit here. They're still side by side. Now into this fast, high-speed downhill left-hander. Who backs out of it? No one! They all get through at full momentum. Air has the inside line. The BMW is on the outside. No real contact. TVR is right there. He's got speed on both of them, but he's got nowhere to go. Someone has to back out in this corner. Who's it going to be? Somehow they made it. They barely got in a single file just in time. Darkin looks to the inside of Air coming out of the final corner. Neck and neck for 2nd position. Nismo is running away as these are all continuing to fight hard. Here comes TVR now to the inside. TVR and Air have Darkin boxed in. TVR on the inside now. He sets his sight on the Acura. He goes to the outside of the Acura. The BMW can't do anything. He has lost 4th place. TVR goes wide. Now he's going to come to the inside. He'll turn to the outside in turn 2. They'll have the outside in turn 3. He should be able to get back by the Cadillac. Cadillac crosses over, and Darkin drops tires into the dirt. And this should be enough to give the Cadillac 3rd place unless Darkin goes really deep under braking here. ECH Noble in the Lexus is there on the outside trying to make a move, stick on the BMW, neck and neck. The Lexus backs out of it for now. But now Air has broken away a small amount, but if he can put together some good laps, he'll be clear of this fight, and Air can try and run down Nismo. It'll be interesting to see if he's going to be able to do it. LMP TVR has taken that Cadillac to 3rd, the highest position it has been in any of these stints thus far. The Cadillac has shown strength, but it is also very temperamental. It is absolutely a min-max car, but as long as TVR is within drafting range down that big straightaway, I think he should be able to overtake just about anyone. So Darkin right now is trying to keep ECH Noble behind. And I said earlier, Buffalo didn't have that great monster start they had in Stint 3. Well, don't worry about that now. Buffalo has recovered up into 6th right now. Now, 6th place is a good way away from our fight from 2nd on back right now. But he is now there. And NWR No Thumbs has had a DNF. NWR No Thumbs has dropped out of the event. I can't see anything because we're stuck in a black screen. And here comes a move on the outside by Alexis. We're going to try and get NWR No Thumbs in here to talk real quickly. All right, Noble on the inside of Darkin. Neck and neck, BMW versus Lexus. Darkin just cannot do anything against the Lexus. It does not seem like Darkin is very happy with the way that BMW handles compared to the drivers ahead. All right, what about this fight for 2nd? Because LMP TVR has caught error 404. And I think Nismo is honestly scooting away with this just a little bit. I didn't think he'd be able to do it, but right now it looks like Nismo has opened up enough of a gap. And Error just can't seem to stay away from cars that, oh wow, that were really sideways out of that corner. TVR absolutely showing some incredible pace and performance right now, really putting Error 404 under some incredible pressure right now. Run uphill. TVR is going to go to the inside. He pulled out like he was going to, but then he falls back in line behind the Acura. Acura has a little bit wider line, trying to really straighten out the run out of this corner. You know the Acura should have a good run through this high-speed left-hander. TVR will have better top end. Will he make the move? He goes to the outside. Error defends the inside. Will TVR try a crossover on corner exit? He's there. He's trying it. They're neck and neck, but TVR will back out. They don't want to be side by side in this second to last corner. This really aggressive kink, and TVR has gone off. That's what Error needed. But is that going to be enough? Because TVR's got big straight, and he might still have draft to work with as well. That might be enough for Error, because while TVR has the draft and he is closing in with speed, he's not going to be close enough to make a move here. That mistake might be enough for Error to start clicking off some clean laps and see if he can run down Nismo, who's at the front of the field right now. Noble and Darkin continue to struggle it out for 4th and 5th. The Lexus has the position, but the BMW wants it back. The drafting physics in this game a lot stronger than they were in the last game, and that lets these battles go on a lot longer than what we've seen in Forza 7. It honestly makes for some absolutely incredible racing here. There are other fights going on, but this is honestly the most interesting one as far as I'm concerned. 4th and 5th, Noble and Darkin really getting at it. And don't look now, but 6th place, Scored Buffalo, is not that far away. He is coming. He is faster than everyone in the top 5 at the moment. You can see Buffalo back there in the background. Buffalo might have speed to maybe pull out a win. The leader is not streaking away. This is honestly the least amount of running away that any of our leaders have done in any of our stints thus far. Lexus that Noble is driving gets really high centered on that curve, but still it's enough to keep the BMW behind. Error is trying to close in on Nismo, but is having trouble doing so. That Cadillac of LMP TVR is closing in so much in the straight line. Error is just not having a good time at all, trying to just, and FTC Sadie along with Eclectic and D Chris Slow all have pitted early on for damage, so Sadie looks like he's going to go a lap down very early on here by the looks of it. Sadie actually runs off circuit there in turn 3 just to let the field by. Again, Sadie is driving with a shoulder out. Listen, they run with a wheel, so that's really not going to help them at all. TVR's got the run on Error. Not really the best place for the Cadillac, but this Cadillac is legitimately showing more speed, I think, than what the Acura has. The Bentley at the head of the field, holding station right now, and there is 4th, ECH Noble. He's right there as well. So 2nd and 4th, all around top of each other. Honestly, 2nd and 5th are all pretty much around top of each other. And 1st is not running away. This is incredibly competitive, probably the most competitive we've had this far. Even if we've only had one legitimate lead change thus far, this is the most competitive we've seen it be thus far. We may have just had someone drop out. Was it Sadie? Yes, FTC Sadie has dropped out of it as the Lexus lunges and gets to the inside of the Cadillac of TVR. We're going to try and reach out to Sadie here. Side by side for 3rd and turns into side by side for 2nd. Noble is there on the Acura, but now TVR can cross over, and what was a fight for 2nd now is trying to stay out of 4th. Oh, wow! Both TVR and Noble nearly went into the dirt, and this gets Error ahead again. And Error is just like, come on, let me get away from these guys. I want to set laps in clean air, but it's just not working out. We're almost, not quite, but we're about almost a third way, honestly closer to about a quarter of the way through this race, or through this run, through this stint 4 here. And RZX Nix has now dropped out as well. So already early on, 3 different drivers have dropped out of this event. Error inside, Noble crossing over, under braking though, there is no room, but Error gets pushed once, twice, He gets pushed by TVR as well. These people cannot get away from each other, and there's Buffalo as well. Now the Cadillac jumps to the inside. Into this corner. Can they both keep it together through here? Barely. But they do. Somehow. 2 by 2 out of the corner. TVR is on the outside. Is he going to back out of it? No, he's not. Air is still there as well. They all keep it together. No, they don't. Darker is sideways. The Lexus is sideways. They're all sideways. But TVR now moves the Cadillac in the second position. And they're 2 by 2 behind him. This is incredible. I'm going to blow my voice out here because this is just too good. TVR has finally moved into second. Air has the toe off of him. He's trying to use that to hold on to third. ECH Mobile is fourth, scored. Buffalo now gets by Darkin. Look out, everyone. Buffalo is the fastest car on track now, fighting for 5th position. The big problem is that this fight from 2nd to 6th just cannot get away from each other. All right, so Nuke, Freelance, Slow, and Eclectic, they've all made their first stops of the day, but Nuke and Freelance have made their stops early. I'm curious to see if that will give them some track position a little later. But really, this fight from 2nd to 6th is the most impressive thing I think we've seen in a long time. Maybe the most impressive we've had all day. This is not, oh, someone loses the and they throw themselves out. All 5 of these cars are right on top of each other, making legitimately strong moves, really playing to the strengths of their car and maximizing on the weaknesses of their opponents. This is absolutely incredible. And the driver who's the most happy to see this, the leader, AWR Nismo. I don't think Nismo is fast enough to win this on pace. But oh no, and Noble has gone off! Noble! And the Lexus has gone off! And that's got to be a massive amount of time lost. The only good news is that for Darkin and scored, this is one less driver they have to worry about. TVR is really trying to stretch his legs. He wants to see if he can run down the leader here of Nismo. Don't know if it can happen or not. Noble has gone off the circuit twice. This second time was a lot worse than the first. 4 different manufacturers in the top 4 positions, but it is 2 BMWs holding on to the fight for 4th and 5th right now. Down the straight, Error is not able to really close on TVR. TVR in that Cadillac has a gigantic straight line speed advantage, but he is a little bit prone to botching these higher speed corner entries. Doesn't seem to be making those mistakes right now, though. Darkin runs off circuit. Scored, pulls up behind, looks to the inside, looks to the outside. They're going to be side by side going into turn 4. Is he going to make this overtake stick on the outside? It's a difficult one to make happen, and no, he's going to back out of it. It's a bold strategy, but it did not pay out. TVR drops tires into the dirt, keeping Error behind him. All right, coming into the party right now is RZX Nix. Nix, a DNF early on in Stint 4. What happened that took you out of that race?
Don't really know. To be honest, I was running my laps, just trying to be as consistent as I can, keep the car clean and on the racetrack. Come across the line and poof, there it goes. Game crashes. It sucks. I was running consistent laps. I was trying to keep us in the fight there. Stuff happens.
Well, a shame to see you knocked out like this. Do you know who's going to be running the car in Stint 5?
I believe Stint 5. So Stint 5 would be Kefri.
We'll keep an eye on them. Hopefully they're able to recover a bit of time. It's a shame to see you knocked out so early, though, mate.
Yeah, it sucks, but hopefully it doesn't happen to anyone else. We're hoping for good servers here.
Yeah. All right, thanks for jumping in and talking with us, mate. as we turn our focus back to this crazy fight for fourth between two BMWs. Darkin trying to do everything he can to keep Scored Buffalo behind. Buffalo absolutely faster, and now he's got to run on the run uphill. He's on the inside. BMW versus BMW, side by side at the top of the track. Darkin trapped on the outside. Buffalo has that inside line run out, and he's going to slide in front of the BMW. So Buffalo now up into the fourth position. ECH Noble is back there in sixth, but does not really seem to be able to close in on this fight right now. Noble might be stuck in sixth for the moment. Ooh, Buffalo high sides the car on the curb there just a bit. All right, so this is going to probably work out very well for Nismo. Everything I'm looking at seems to suggest that TVR is not the fastest of this pack of cars that have been fighting. However, TVR is better at fighting than all these other cars. So TVR can't really be passed, but he ain't fast. So for Nismo, this is great because it is a slower car that is keeping Air, who is legitimately faster on lap time, behind. Because while Air has faster laps, TVR can min-max the straightaway so hard that there's nothing that Air can do to fight back. I don't think TVR has the speed to run down Nismo. But for Nismo, as long as Air is trapped behind TVR, I think Nismo can continue to slowly open the gap. This might be what ends up settling this fight for the win. TVR, I don't think a win is in the cards for him, but he might be able to come home second because he is absolutely wicked in these driver versus driver fights. I do think he's probably one of the slower drivers in the top 5 positions. But car versus car, he is in the best. And that's the big thing it comes down to. In a track like this, oh, TVR drops tires in the dirt. In a track like this, lap times mean everything for positioning. But when it comes to fighting, it is going to be whoever has the better straight line speed that will make 85% or so of the overtakes. Even if you're slow over a lap, the draft will help salvage a lot of the time and minimize a lot of those losses. Now, I should say there's something out there. ECH Noble has gone ahead and made their first stop about 30 minutes into this stint, so they're going to split this stint as even as possible. Now, for Noble, there is good news. He is in pretty clean air right now, but he was in clean air before as well, so I don't know if that's really going to help him a whole lot. Also, I will go ahead and say, Scored is not really pulled away from Darkin yet. Nismo has really opened up the gap on TVR. All right, Celerity in ninth is pitting. So all the drivers farther back in the grid are the one that's pitting early in this stint. All these guys up front really want to stay out and maximize the run on these set of tires. Probably so that way they don't have to worry about tires falling off near the end of this race. But for TVR, they might want to consider pitting that car sooner rather than later, just so they don't overcook the tires here. They've got a good thing. They don't want to throw it away with tires that are burning up. I've definitely seen that Cadillac dealing with some really nasty handling as the tires are starting to fall off here. Scored Buffalo now starting to run down on Error and TVR. I think that's more because TVR is now dealing with tire fall off, and while he's still an absolute rocket in a straight line in these corners, the rears and I wonder if the fronts also, but it seems to me like the rears are really starting to have some trouble. The same circumstances we've seen before. TVR should probably consider pitting sooner rather than later. Okay, someone's coming to the pits, and it will be TVR and Eric will both come to the pits at the same time. But Scored Buffalo will stay out, Darkin will stay out, and Nismo will stay out. My interest now is going to be, what about ECH Noble? Mind you, Noble went ahead and pitted well before everyone else. Where is he going to end up in relation to Error and TVR? He's in clean air, just trying to set hot laps here. You can see those two already out of pit lane. They are now accelerating down the front straight. Bad news for Noble. It just does not seem like he has the speed to run down TVR or Error right now. Alexis seems strong early on, but it seems like as this has gone on, it's just not performed the way he wants it to. All right, so no one in the top 6, not a single person in the top 6 have made their first pit stop yet. Nismo is going farther on tires than anyone else except for maybe Buffalo and Darkin. So look at the tire life on Nismo. 57s in the front, 50s in the rear in that Bentley. I look at scored Buffalo, who is second. He is at 50 in the front, 48s in the rear, so a lot more even tire life all around for scored Buffalo. And I imagine it will be similar for Darkin. We'll take a quick look here and see. 50s in the front, 48s in the rear, so Darkin's actually burning up the front tires a little bit faster than Buffalo is. All right, Nismo's coming into the pits. Only stayed out one lap longer than the drivers behind him. Darkin is now coming into the pits as well, but Buffalo is going to stay out another lap. Alright, so now here's the real interesting thing. TVR and Air, they hit it at the same time. They're still on track relatively together, but TVR has opened the gap a bit on Air. But now these two are going to have to deal with race leader AWR Nismo and Darkin, who had been behind him. Where are they going to end up in relation to those two drivers? XZR Veloso also went ahead and pit. Alright, Nismo's already out of pit lane and is tearing off down the straightaway. Now, it should be noted that C1 Crazy is ahead of Nismo, so that might hurt them. But yes, TVR and Air will both easily clear Darkin. So it seems like we very much can tell that Nismo is most definitely fast enough to make these positions work. Not these positions work, but this strategy work. Although Nismo will have to deal with C1 Crazy potentially. If he catches C1 Crazy before Crazy pits, that might hold him up a bit. That's not something he wants to do. Nismo is not dominating this race as thoroughly as the guys who won, or nearly won, the last 3 stints are. Nismo is more dominating off the fact that drivers are just spending so much time behind him fighting. Those people behind figure their stuff out, and then Nismo gets held up by traffic. He is absolutely at risk of losing this position. Nismo is slowly running down C1 Crazy. Again, scored Buffalo out on track still, and Buffalo may be faster than Nismo. And that is the other thing to consider. Buffalo turning clean laps, no one around him right now. That could be a very, very dangerous thing. Flux Nova. All right, Buffalo is now in pit lane. So here comes the question. Where is Buffalo going to end up in relation to AWR Nismo? It could be Bentley versus BMW fighting here after the first stint. We've not seen any overtakes for a position on merit after the end of the first stint, but this could be the change. I'm really interested to see, is Buffalo going to get ahead of Nismo after the pit stop is done? Already the BMW is starting to roll down that straight. Now Flux Nova goes in the lead, so Nova now leads a lap. That car led a bunch of laps in stint 1 and has led laps in stint 1, 2, 3, and now 4. So good job on Nova for that. And Buffalo is way, way behind. In fact, LMP TVR is still ahead of Buffalo, and so is Error 404. In fact, Error 404 has pretty much lost LMP TVR at this stage of the race, and now Error is going to have to deal with scored Buffalo behind. I don't know if TVR has the speed to run down Nismo, but what I do know is that as it stands right now, I think this could go many, many different ways. I do think Air looked fast enough to maybe fight with Nismo, but Air has spent so much time fighting with other cars, it's really negated his lap times. And he's going to have to do it again because Buffalo is absolutely faster. I think Buffalo is the fastest person here, but it takes Buffalo a long time to make overtakes. The car is so good in the corners that when it comes to actually making an overtake, it takes him 2-3 laps to finally make something stick. But that might not be a problem this stint because all of our real leaders are all on top of each other right now. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and to a lesser extent 7th. Those 6 cars are all realistically our top 6, and they're all within a straightaway of each other. They all basically share the same straightaway all the time. Any of our top 6 could still win this race. I don't think ECH Noble or Darkin really have the speed or pace to do it. But if some things shake out weirdly, those two might be able to steal this win. There are at least 6, there are at minimum 6 cars fighting legitimately for 3 podium positions and 1 victory. It could get really, really funky here. Buffalo continues to slowly close in on Error as Nismo inherits the lead back after Flux Nova finally makes their stop. So that yellow car has led at least 1 lap in every stint in the Kylami thus far, I don't know if anyone else in if any other team in any of the other stints will be able to say the same. But that is a great job. It's not really going to help him overall, but it's a solid result. And Freelancer has dropped out. Oh my goodness. And that was the lobby host. Not only that, that was also Darkster's teammate. That was the car that Darkster won Stint 2 and he came home in Stint 3 in. So that's going to really hurt Darkster's Aston Martin entry now. 4 DNFs. We're just, I don't even think we're full halfway through this event. We're a little bit past halfway through the event, but oh my goodness. 4 DNFs already. Looks to me like Sport is closing in on Error, and Error is closing back in on TVR. But catching TVR is one thing, but with the ridiculous straight line speed advantage that Cadillac has, is it going to be possible to actually make an overtake stick? That is the question on everyone's mind. Right now, everyone who is still running is basically not only on the same lead lap, but they're all on the same half lap right now. The field has some spread out, but it's not spread out nearly as much as what we're used to. This is probably the most parity we've seen thus far in the stints. Error trying to sniff the draft of that Cadillac. It's just not happening yet. And that Bentley Escort continues to close ever more. All right, here's something interesting. Darkin is starting to close in. Is starting to get closed in by from Noble. So Darkin seems to be the slowest of our top 6 cars at the moment. And I think Noble might be a little bit faster. It's not looking good for them at the moment. Oh, Noble! Looks like they'll be able to keep it on track. But yeah, it looks like Darkin is a little slower than Noble. So Noble might be able to drag this Lexus back in the top 5 position. But he's going to have to do it on merit. And again, everyone in the top 6 pretty much are close enough that they share the same straightaway on the front stretch and on the back stretch and on the run down into that fast left-hand bend, the 4th to last corner on circuit. So if Noble can get by Darkin and put together some good laps, he could really gain a few more positions if anyone in the top 4 have some issues here. On board with Scored Buffalo as he watches the fight, as Error has now caught TVR. There's a little bit of contact, so the fight for second is alive. This is great news for Nismo. He gets to start opening his gap a little more once again. That's really aggressive with the curve. We'll go silent for a lap on board with Buffalo as he stalks this fight here in the midpoint of Stint 4 C-Lot. that was a little bit more than a lap. I'm just trying to give myself some rest so I don't burn myself out. I am going to try and stream Stint 5 and 6 if the times line up here. Second, third, and fourth all on top of each other. And it does look like LMP TVR is actually closing down on Nismo at this stage of the race. So this could get interesting because it seems like everyone in the top 4 are all closing on top of each other. Ooh, Buffalo nearly loses it there. Leaves it straight for now, though. But first, second, third, and fourth, all so close that even on the short straights, they're all sharing the exact same piece of track. TVR, I said earlier, I didn't think TVR had the speed to run down Nismo, but he is out here doing his absolute best to prove me wrong. He is absolutely doing it. Great job on the Cadillac. It's the Cadillacs. 5 different manufacturers occupy the top 5 positions. There's a Lexus back there in 5th, but due to 2 off-track excursions earlier, Noble realistically I think is kind of out of contention for this race win unless he can pull off some absolute banger blitzering laps right now. Nismo is losing time to TVR, and now Error has been caught by Scored Buffalo. This is great news for TVR. This means Error is not going to be as focused on trying to run him down the corners. They'll have to be defending against Buffalo behind. And Buffalo takes 2, 3, 4 laps sometimes to make overtake stick because the car does not have a big straight line speed advantage. It is a cornering car. And it takes a lot longer for a cornering car to make an overtake than it will for a straight line speed car to overtake. Uphill. Ooh, Error dropped the tire on the dirt there. Buffalo's got a good toe, but he's not close enough to make any big lunges here. I'm watching the map. It does look like TVR is slowly chipping away at Nismo's lead right now. And while Error is doing everything he can to try and hold on to TVR, I think TVR has got this car figured out. As long as the tires don't start falling off. Top 4, you can now all see them sometimes in the same camera shots briefly. Fifth place and 6th place. Yeah, our top 6 are all on the same straightaway. In fact, it's really not even the top 6. I'll also go ahead and say this. 7th place, X3R Veloso, while he's absolutely not in contention for this win, is legitimately in 7th on pace and also is on the same front straight as the top 6. So it's not even like that we have 6 super evenly matched drivers. I think all 6 of these drivers are kind of like teams middle of the road drivers, or for a middle of the road team, they're absolute best drivers, and they're all min-maxing what their cars can do. Again, of our top 6, we have 5 different manufacturers, and all of them except for one, which was Buffalo, started in about the top 8 positions. Buffalo started way outside of the top half of the field, has gradually worked his way up. TVR is about as close to Nismo as Error is to TVR, and Buffalo is a little bit closer to Error than that. This fight for the win, I think, is about to happen between Nismo and TVR. And if they spend very long fighting between each other, we could see a real interesting display here. Here come your leaders. You can see all 4 of them in the same shot at the same time. This is the closest the top 4 have been in any of the stints thus far. And there is 5th. 5th is not that far off. That is ECH Noble. Oh, BMW of Darkin has gone off circuit farther back there. So Darkin is kind of losing the plot, but Noble is honestly on a recovery drive. I just don't know if he's close enough to actually make anything happen. As we look at the front straightaway and see, TVR is now twice as far away from Error as the gap is between himself and Nismo. Nismo, yes, Bosch turn 1. TVR Bosch turn 1 as well, though. become our leaders once more. They've all closed in on each other significantly. All on the same short shoots. If TVR can catch Nismo and start giving Nismo trouble, this could be great news for Error and Scored. Scored's best finish, and Matt Carr's best finish overall was 4th, but honestly had a 2nd on pace. TVR has put the Cadillac, we know the Cadillac could be a top 5 car, but he is legitimately top 2 and might be the fastest. Error brought his car to a podium in the first stint, but the car has languished since. And Nismo is in a car that has had some respectable runs, but nothing that has been outright dominant. This isn't outright dominant, this is the closest he's gotten thus far to it. All 4 of these cars could be on for their best runs thus far. Oh, and TVR is off! And that's gonna throw it away, and Error gets to his outside! And Nismo is catching his breath now, because what had been a fight for first now turns into a fight for second. He can open the gap again. Error to the inside of TVR. Buffalo has fallen off just a little bit now. And Nismo can catch his breath because TVR has been caught by Error once again. The fight for second resumes. And mind you, we are getting to the latter half, or the latter bit of the second fuel stint. This is when TVR starts dealing with a lot of tire fall off, and the car starts handling a lot differently. TVR really needs to minimize his mistakes right now, but he is legitimately fast enough to run Nismo down. The thing is, now that he has Error behind him, he has to... Oh, wow! And Nismo has now dropped tires into the dirt. That will bring not only TVR, but Error and Buffalo all a little bit closer now. So a big mistake by second, followed by a smaller mistake, but still significant, by first. This also means that ECH Noble will close in a little bit on all these drivers as well. He's still not close enough to really directly fight with them, but the Lexus in 5th could still pick up some pieces, might have even a podium still in the cards for him. Slide by Nismo. Oh wow, second and third both drop tires into the dirt there. That high-speed kink. Error hits TVR in the apex, but TVR gets the run out and will now start accelerating. Nismo has opened the gap once more on TVR. TVR has to hold not just Error behind him, but Scored behind him as well. Or Scored trying to get by TVR is going to be the absolute most difficult fight I think he's going to have all day long. Outside of maybe the inevitable slip from second to fourth that happened in the last stint with the damaged engine. Because Error is so much faster than that BMW in a straight line. But the BMW Scored is massively faster in the corners. And then Error, who's right behind him, is kind of middle of the road for both. I'm going to see Error make a big lunge to the inside of TVR in turn 5, but that Acura driver has some good restraint. He has not fallen for that trick yet. Not saying he won't ever, but he's not fallen for it yet. All right, on the run uphill once again. The good news for TVR, with this straight line speed advantage, he can get to the corners faster than Error. The only problem is that Error isn't an Acura. We know the Acura is very good on acceleration and can carry a lot of speed, even while switching lanes on corner exit. TVR is trying his best in the game by just outrunning him into every corner and taking the line that he wants, basically denying the Acura a shot. And again, these three are all still running Nismo down slowly but surely. None of them... Oh no, that time it was Buffalo who made a bit of a mistake. We're all still on top of each other. Now out of the final corner and down the front stretch once again. TVR is closing on Nismo. And the problem for Nismo is that it won't be just TVR he'll have to worry about. TVR is dragging Error with him, and Error is dragging Scored Buffalo. It is going to be a foursome in this fight for the win, and ECH Noble While he's not right on top, these four spend a lot of time fighting on top of each other. Noble will be dragged back into the fray. We could have 5 different manufacturers fighting for our top 5 positions, depending on how this goes. Again, reminder, all 4 of these cars are on slightly different pit stop strategies as well. Scored went much, much, much longer on the first stint than anyone else here at the front. And that could be what gives Buffalo the end top spot. If Buffalo ends up staying out longer than these 3 cars ahead of him, turns some absolute monster laps in clean air, he could end up overtaking Air, TVR, and even Nismo. Air is right behind TVR. I'll give credit, TVR had that big mistake earlier, but he's been mostly minimizing his mistakes thus far. I don't believe in jinx, but let's hope that he's saying that doesn't actually jinx me. He makes a big mistake here. The TVR is legitimately making this way more interesting than I thought it could be. I thought this Cadillac was a top 5 car, maybe in a freak circumstance could be a top 3 car. He is trying to make it a top spot car, but Air is keeping him honest. He is sneaking around in some of the more technical sections, trying to get to the inside of TVR, trying to deny him a good run out of these corners. All right, onto the front stretch once again. This is where TVR has the biggest strength, and he is even closer to Nismo. Every lap, he is getting closer to the Bentley out in front. Nismo has led is going to overall lead about half of this race distance, but that may not be enough for him. Uphill. TVR did not have a good run out of turn 3 that time, but Arrow was all sorts of sideways. The good news for Arrow is that he may have been sideways, but he can maintain his acceleration. First, second, third, fourth, all on top of each other. No one's willing to make a move yet. Are they all just going to stay in line, or are they going to pit? Because they've all caught each other at about the point where they all need to start making pits. And there's 5th. You can see 5th. EC Noble is slowly closing in on this as well. Nismo looks like he may be the slowest of our top 4, for sure, and maybe even the slowest of our top 5. And Buffalo, who absolutely was flying earlier, seems to have lost a little bit of time, but he might just be saving his equipment so that way he can go longer on the overcut. TVR looks to the inside. All right, we are now in the position where TVR in the Cadillac is making moves to try and force Nismo into running defensive here. Oh, big sideways movement by TVR. He'll lose some time there. Noble is going to pit back there in 5th. Air got into TVR's rear bumper and ended up losing time in the process. And now Buffalo is going to fight with him. TVR has got to run on Nismo. It's not going to be close enough to get him alongside, but he is absolutely in the Bentley's draft now. TVR did not have a good run in turn 1, though. The Bentley ahead seems to be a little bit more confident. TVR may be faster, but he is most definitely struggling with tire fall-off at this stage of the fuel run here. Again, these 4 drivers are all going to have to make their second stop sooner rather than later. Nismo holding position, TVR in 2nd. Air is still 3rd, Buffalo still 4th. Buffalo's not going very aggressively against Air yet. I can't believe it. It's like every lap these 4 get closer and closer. And Noble, who was setting laps a little bit faster than all 4 of them for the last few circuits, he pitted, but now he is trapped behind traffic. That might end it for him. He's not round top. Oh, and the Bentley left the door open to the TVR. He shuts it back down, but the TVR had the inside line. TVR is right on top of Nismo now. Into the high-speed blind downhill left-hander, and now into one of the slowest corners on the track. The 2 of them will take alternate lines. The Bentley is a little wider, TVR is a little tighter on exit. There'll still be nose to tail. Will either of them make a mistake in the kink? And it is! It's their leader! And Nismo made a mistake, and now TVR is on his outside. Nismo has the inside line. That's the line he's gonna not want to have. And now here's Aaron to the inside of TVR, but TVR has a run on Nismo. This is the closest they've been. Is this it? Is this the run that he needs to try and make the move for a lead? Oh, wow, that Bentley just made a huge dive to protect the inside, but TVR didn't even try to make a move, and that compromised Nismo in turn 1. TVR is still on him in 2. Now he's still going to be on him in 3. And Error is right behind TVR all the while, and Scorn is there as well. They're even closer. Every single lap, they get closer and closer to each other. They can't get much closer than this. Bumper to bumper for the top 2. Error has just only got about about a quarter of a car lead between himself and TVR, and Buffalo only has about 2/3 of a car lead between himself and Error. Look at this. They're all on top of each other. It's like throwing a blanket on each other here. And TVR is still right there, bumper to bumper, run uphill. Can TVR try and outrun the Bentley into the braking zone at the top of the hill? Does not look like it. He's going to stay defensive, not do anything crazy. Nismo doesn't miss the corner. He does not give TVR the inside line. This means that the Bentley has a good run out of the corner now. TVR will use the draft, will accelerate behind Nismo, will follow him right through the fourth to last corner again. They're all still bumper to bumper. Buffalo backs off just a little bit. I think Buffalo is just trying to save his stuff at the moment. He's a little wide on corner exit. Do any of our top 4 make a mistake again? No, they all stay nice in order this time around. Error closes in huge on TVR in the braking zone. TVR right behind Nismo again. Is this what TVR needs? He is in the draft. This is the best draft run that he's had this entire time. Will it be enough? Nismo is going to defend the outside. TVR is looking outside, side by side for the race lead and potentially the win. TVR chops down, slams his car into the Bentley, ends up hemorrhaging the time. The Bentley holds station. But the Bentley is shaken. The Bentley is showing a little bit of weakness, but so is TVR. Nerves are really getting frayed by our top 2 drivers right now. They're all still nose to tail. They're all about the same gap to each other as they were this time last lap. Now into turn 4 again. And somehow, none of these 4 had decided I'll pull off now and turn laps in clean air. I guarantee you if any of these 4 decide to pull off and turn laps in clean air, except for Nismo, they could probably walk off with the race win. But no, all of them seem to be committed to whatever strategy they have, or maybe they've thrown strategy out the window and they just want to say, hey, look, I can make these overtakes on merit and pure skill. Relatively good run through the top of the hill. Now the run back down to the fourth to last corner again. TVR has a good run. Does he make a move? No. It's so tempting to make a move in that corner, but you don't want to be side by side on the run out because that means someone will have to compromise your line. Oh, and there you are! And that's first and third going to pit. So Nismo and Error pit, and now TVR goes into the lead. It's not on merit, it's on strategy, but TVR is going to set a bunch of laps in clean air, and the thing for Error is that Error is going to be trapped behind Nismo still. And TVR is going to have Scored Buffalo behind him. And for Scored Buffalo, this is going to be incredibly frustrating, because TVR's strength is in the straight line. Buffalo's strength is in the corners. These cars are diametrically opposed to each other in every way. Buffalo takes 2, 3, sometimes even 4 laps to make an overtake. Normally, when it's just him on top of someone else. When it was 4 cars on top of each other, Buffalo did not make any move for position at all. And now Buffalo's going to be trapped by TVR. Does he just try to stay in TVR's draft and just try to overcut him by staying out on track longer? Or does he go ahead and try to overtake TVR on circuit? And then what if Nismo and Error? They are 5th and 6th on track right now. Nismo and Error. Nismo has Error in the Acura right behind him. Error still has to get by Nismo. He tried to pit to get away from everyone else. Turn some laps in clean air, and it's not worked. He still has Nismo ahead of him. And TVR is still going to have to deal with Buffalo fighting behind. So we went from having a foursome to 2 pairs of drivers fighting for the overall win here. And again, ECH Noble, he is not close enough to these cars to really make anything of it. You can see him just coming around the corner there, so Noble just can't make it happen. I think Noble's got a top 5 as long as nothing happens to the top 4. It looks like it's going to be 4 different cars, 4 different manufacturers fighting for the top 4 spots here. A very, very interesting scenario. All right, TVR is pitted, and is Buffalo going to stay out? Yes, Buffalo is going to stay out. So the pair at the front of the field is now going to split. Buffalo now can set a bunch of laps in clean air. Air. This is what he did in the first stint. He went farther on fuel than anyone else. He's going to do it here as well. Go farther on fuel tires than anyone else. Will these laps in clean air be enough to put Score Buffalo ahead of Air, ahead of Nismo? Where is TVR going to end up in relation to Air and Nismo as well? Because these two, the two drivers who were first and third earlier, are coming around the final corner. Where is TVR? TVR is still on the pit lane. You see X3R blows him by, but he's not being stopped yet. TVR accelerating out pit lane. Nismo's got to run. Air's got to run. Will he overtake TVR? Yes, they're going to overtake TVR. Both of them has gotten by TVR. So TVR has led a lap, but that extra lap out did not work out in his favor. He has lost ground to Air and lost a bunch of ground to Nismo. Where are these three going to end up in relation to Score Buffalo once Buffalo finally makes his stop? And can Air get by Nismo? Nismo, who has led the majority of the laps today despite not being the fastest car on track, is really trying to keep these cars ahead. But Air has TVR behind, and as long as TVR doesn't catch them, this could be Air's best chance at making a fight for it. He doesn't have to fight against someone who is going to be abnormally gifted in a straight line or abnormally gifted in the corner. It's going to be mano a mano on cars that are relatively even on pace, and I do believe on lap time, Air is faster than Nismo. Can he get by the Bentley ahead? These two are going to be on pretty much equal tire wear, equal field numbers. It's going to be sheer driver ability. The only big advantage is that Nismo has track position right now, and that Air in the Acura will have slightly better acceleration. Score Buffalo has not yet made his stop. He stays out for another lap. But Darkin, who is in second, will make his stop. We expect Darkin is going to fall back behind TVR, likely behind Yovel as well. Bumper to bumper. This could be the fight for the win, maybe. Alonso makes his stop as well. TVR slides a little wide, farther back. I've got bad news for Air and Nismo. TVR's straight line speed is bringing him back into this fight. Here comes Air to the inside. Big dive going into turn one. Side by side. Nismo tries to pinch him down. They're still side by side out of one. Air backs out of it. Nismo holds the position in two. Going into three. Nismo still holds the position coming out of three. But Air had the run. Air went for the move, but just could not make it stick. They're still staying nose to tail, second, third, and fourth. Buffalo still has yet to make his final stop. Around turn 4. Into turn 5. For Air, he has to make this stick. For Nismo, he's no longer turning laps in clean air. He has to run defensive this entire time. And the big thing is, I think with all these laps in clean air, Scored Buffalo might be able to stay ahead of these people just because he's not losing time fighting one another. Air now looks to the outside of Nismo at the top of the hill and trying to cross over on the exit. He's trying, he's going for it. He's side by side. Is he gonna stick it in there? Yes, he is, side by side for position. Their contact! And Air lost the nose of the car, got a low swirly out. They're still side by side. And now here comes TVR on Air. TVR drops tires in the dirt. That will kind of negate his run. Air is still right there on Nismo. Oh, and Nismo had a bad run out of the final corner. Air has got to his inside. Side by side for the top spot again, but Air did not get the run he wanted. And it's TVR, who's got the draft and the straight line speed advantage. He is going to clear Air in the straight line. Nismo defends the inside. TVR now goes to the outside. And Air is going to try and cross over to get back by TVR. TVR's got him. TVR got the position. I can't believe it. And Nismo loses the lead. And TVR now goes to the front. What about Buffalo? He still has to pit. About 22 minutes left at this stage of the event. Buffalo has still not made his stop. He is on old tires, but he is in completely clean air while these drivers are all still fighting. Air on the outside of Nismo. The car twitches. He goes deep into the grass, sliding into the dirt, losing a whole lot of time in the process. And TVR is now scooting away. I said early on it didn't look like that car was very good. It didn't look like it could be much more in a top 5, maybe a top 3 if he got lucky. But TVR might be legitimately positioned himself to take home this race win here. This stint win, not really a race win, but they're driving like it's a race win. Nismo is trying to fight back, trying to get back to TVR, but TVR is opening the gap. Buffalo still has not yet made his final stop. How long is Buffalo going to stay out on the circuit on these tires? 53%, 54% on the front, but 2.5 fuel, so this should be his pitting lap. Nismo trying desperately to hold on to the draft, but TVR, Error has kind of lost both of them. This has been absolutely incredible. Probably one, oh my goodness, there's moves farther back, and that's Flux Nova and ECH Noble. Now mind you, Nova has not yet made his final stop, but it is holding up Noble, and Noble might be able to snipe fourth from Error if he can just clear Noble here, and Noble is going to slide there in turn 3. Noble is going to get the position as Flux loses it there. All right, here is the real question. LMP TVR, second right now. He stayed out a little longer than the 2 cars behind, but Buffalo, who is on track well ahead, has turned a bunch of laps in clean air, does not have to fight anyone right now, but Buffalo is going to be pitting here. This lap, where is Buffalo going to end up in relation to TVR? Has Buffalo spent enough time in clean air to clear TVR, or will the straight line speed of TVR mean that he can catch Buffalo as he comes out of pit lane? Buffalo in the pits officially. Can TVR do anything to him? Buffalo has only been able to get 4th at best. That was in Stint 3. His other drivers, Maybe Racing, had a very mediocre run in Stint 1, couldn't even finish stop 10. NFL Racer, the other driver in that BMW who was at the front, was not even able to finish Stint 2 due to a disconnect. Buffalo is trying to recover and bring them not only a podium but a win. Buffalo has come out of pit lane now. TVR has a run going down the front straightaway. There is the question. Can TVR run Buffalo down in time? The gap is closing, the gap is closing, the gap is closing, but I don't know if it's closing fast enough. TVR is trying desperately to make it happen, but I hate to say it, the gap is too big. Scored Buffalo running all those laps in clean air. I think he's gonna do it. He's going to get it. As long as he doesn't make a misshift, he is going to have this position over to LMP TVR. His tires are going to be fresher to the end. He's in a car that's good in the corners, and while TVR is going to be great in the straights, I just don't think it's going to be enough. The other thing as well is that everyone is still on the lead lap, and Buffalo is nowhere close to putting our 15th place driver a lap down right now. I don't see any reason Buffalo will lose this unless he starts making some big mistakes here. The top 4 are all still really close to each other. Nismo, who led a huge chunk of this race. Oh, and TVR is off! That's going to kill his run. That brings Nismo into the play just to, once again, and opens up the gap in Buffalo's favor. And scored Buffalo, who is now opening the gap on the rest of the field. Did not even start in the top 10. I think he started like 13th or 14th in this stint. Wasn't even having a great first 2 laps, but slowly, methodically made his way up, hanging out in the top 4 for so many laps. Just didn't make any moves, waited until everyone ahead of him pitted, then cranked out about 5 absolutely banger laps in completely clean air, and that has been what has put him ahead. And while TVR is close enough to capitalize, if Buffalo makes a mistake or has another mischief that damages his engine, as it stands right now, I think that Buffalo is going to take home this win. TVR is now fighting with Nismo, as Nismo is making it tight here. No damage to TVR. It looks like he just had a bad run out of those last 2 corners. Nismo on the outside. So I think this fight for the win is over. It is now a fight between TVR and Nismo for 2nd position, with Error in 4th. Not really able to keep up. I think Error has maybe either damaged the tires, burnt them up, or maybe he's damaged the engine. I don't know, but he does not have the pace that he had earlier. Buffalo is gone. That's the sad thing about it. It's never the big moves that win you races. It is always the ability to be consistent and turn laps by yourself. That's all that matters in most TORA events. If you can turn a lot of big laps by yourself, you will win races by default. It does not matter how good you are on fighting mano y mano most of the time. There have been exceptions. We have seen them before. But overall, what Buffalo did, turning a bunch of powerful laps in clean air, is usually all that matters in getting you to the front. That's not anything you can do to balance in the game. It's just the way that physics work. Should be looking at about 16 minutes left at this stage of the race. TVR trying to keep Nismo behind him so he can hold on to at least a second position. This Cadillac has led laps. In fact, many different drivers have led laps. 4 different drivers have led laps today, including Flux Nova, who led a lap during the first set of pit stops. TVR has led laps. Scored Buffalo is leading now on merit, and Nismo led a bit over half of the race on merit as well. So it's been a very, very competitive fight today through the field. Probably one of, if not the best TORA stint I have ever covered in all of my years of broadcasting. I've been covering TORA since off and on since about 2022. And this has probably been the best one I have ever covered. TVR slides a little bit on the run uphill once again. Yeah, Buffalo is basically gone. He's got cleaner air, better, fresher tires, and TVR is just trying to be defensive to the cars behind. ESR Eclectic runs the risk of maybe going a lap down by the end of this stint, sadly. Sideways moment from TVR. Nismo's a little sideways also. And error is closing back in on Nismo here. I think second, third, and fourth have mostly stabilized, but things could turn around here. Not seeing a whole lot of other movements. Again, it does look like TVR is struggling a little bit as we're coming to the end of the stint. But I think he's gone long enough on stint 2 that his tires won't be in too bad of a position here. Score continues to open the gap, so we know this race win is basically over. Nismo has a big run on TVR this time. Does he make a dive into one? TVR is not going to defend. Nismo flinches as if he's going to make the dive, but will not commit to it. Big credit to TVR as now he is And Nismo, I just got a message on my Discord, I apologize, but Nismo has gone off. This ends what has been a fantastic run for him. There's no damage to the car, but Nismo, who had legitimately been running at a top 3 position, has gone off circuit. And this is going to throw away a podium run. Frustration for him. Good news, though, for Error. Brought it home to a podium finish in Stint 1, and it looks like he can do the same here in Stint 2, even though he has lost a little bit of pace here in the final stint. And Noble, who hasn't really been able to keep up with the leaders, it looks like he'll be able to come home in 4th. So a 4th, 3rd, 4th for the Lexus in Stints 2, 3, and 4. Looking at about 11 minutes left at this stage of the event. It sounded like someone hit the crap out of the curb there. So Nismo slips to 5th. The man who has led over half of this stint. But while trying to go after TVR, has lost it there in Sector 1. So this is good news for TVR because he has a pretty big gap between himself and Error. I don't think Error will be able to do anything. And this Cadillac, which has shown strength but not really anything convincing, I legitimately thought at the outset of Stint 1 that this is probably the weakest car of all the cars showing up. Has legitimately led laps, has fought for the win, and will come home 2nd overall. TVR absolutely making things happen with this machine. I am more than impressed. I am thrilled at how they've been able to do this. A car that I thought, at least, was not going to be competitive at all is bouncing back to come home 2nd. And the one thing that's even bigger than that, scored Buffalo at the head of the field. This car didn't finish Stint 2, didn't even get a top 10 in Stint 1, had a 2nd place in Stint 3 in the cars before an engine issue caused it to slip down to 4th. But Buffalo was going to shake that off, and from coming from about, I think, 14th spot on the grid, is likely going to win it. We have less than 10 minutes left, and I think he can do this. We're going to spin the lap on board with Buffalo. Trying to save my voice a bit, but also see what a flying lap looks like from the man who is almost guaranteed to win this final stint. A master of his craft. One flying lap on board the BMW here. All right, so with only about 7 minutes, 7.25 minutes left, scored Buffalo streaking away. LNP TVR poised to bring this Cadillac home in 2nd position. 3rd place looking like it will be Error 404 ECH Noble, while not directly in the fight at the front for most of this race. Looks like he'll come home 4th in the Lexus. AWR Nismo, despite leading over half of this stint, is going to slip down to 5th. Darkin, who started at the front, It's not a great run, but he will at least bring it home in 6th. And X3 Art Veloso is going to be 7th by the looks of it. Flux Nova, who led a lap earlier, is the only car that has led a lap in all of the stints thus far today. Nova is going to come home 8th by the looks of it. Scalarity, this this Porsche, this pink, white, and blue Porsche, has gradually been improving its results stint after stint. Not only are they poised to finally get a lead lap finish, they are poised to finish in the top 10 this stint. ZR Amaryllis is in 10th in the Mercedes. Might be able to run down Scalarity with mistakes like that. I don't see it happening. Chris Slow could be bouncing back to a respectable finish here in the Audi in 11th. C1 Crazy. They're going to recover a little bit of the ground lost from that big accident in the prior stint, coming home 12th. Nuke X1617 is in 13th here in another Audi. NWR Enzo is in 14th, and then 15th is ESR Eclectic. There is a risk that Eclectic might go a lap down. Mind you, this is a car that won the prior stint. No, not the prior stint. Didn't win a prior stint, but this is a car that had started close to the front of the field, but it just seems like when some of these drivers' hands, this nerfed Aston is absolutely awful, but in other drivers' hands, such as SFM Darkster, it's really not that much of a problem. Eclectic is at risk of maybe going a lap down before this stint ends. Most of the fights on track have pretty much ended. There is a potential of something to change between these two here, Chris Slow, and right behind them, C1 Crazy. Let me see here. Is there any damage on Slow's car? No, but those front tires are absolutely cooked. And C1 Crazy, who is just behind, does not have nearly as bad tires. So I think Crazy might be able to catch Slow and nip him for 11th here. Just because of tires, Slow is really paying the Pied Piper here with burnt out rubber in these final few laps. Still, Slow is having a respectable run. Crazy dives to the inside, neck and neck, Audi versus Audi. Crazy makes the overtake without too much issue. Slow trying to cross over. Can't happen through these corners. You can see how that car is sliding. So yeah, it looks like Crazy's got this position pretty much by default. Eighth and 9th are on top of each other though. Flux Nova has caught Scalarity. It's more like Scalarity has caught Flux Nova. Flux's tires aren't too bad. Scalarity, on the other hand, looks. Tires are worse, but they're not horrible. They should both be fine. Eclectic making a 4th pit stop, and this will put him a lap down. So not a great run by that LMP entry. Be the only one to go a lap down in this stint. Scalarity runs into the dirt just a bit, trying to keep Flux Nova behind. DVR is starting to close the gap a bit on Buffalo, but with less than 4 minutes left, that's like less than 2 laps, I just don't see it happening unless Buffalo absolutely destroys the engine in this machine, or just damages it like what happened in the first stint. I don't see it happening. I think Buffalo right now is just managing his equipment, not really trying to do anything crazy. Knows he's got this position by default, pretty much. So we look again at this fight for 8th and 9th here. Flux Nova runs behind Scalarity. This is the BMW that won Stint 1, dominated Stint 3, but then dropped out with about 18 minutes left. But has led laps in all 4 stints thus far. At least 1 lap in all 4 stints thus far. A little less than 2 minutes left, so only about a lap, or another full circuit, not really properly a lap, but about a full circuit left. I think Scalarity will be able to hold on for 8th. Would be the Porsche's best result thus far. At the front, Buffalo leads TVR. Air holds on in 3rd. Noble is closing in, but there's just not enough time. Nismo, despite leading so many laps, 5th. Draken, who started up front, is 6th. 3-yard Veloso is 7th. Actually, no, wait. Draken led the first lap, didn't he? So I think we've had 5 lap leaders. I think this has actually been our most competitive race thus far. Well, either way, Enzo has just gotten by Chris Solo going down the back straightaway. So Slow's cooked tires are really wreaking havoc. It can't get any worse for Slow, though. There's less than a minute left. But this is your inevitable stint winner. As we watch the time tick down. "30 seconds left according to my clock. 25. 20 seconds. 19 seconds. So as they go through the final corner, as long as Buffalo doesn't throw away this last corner, he should be good. There won't be enough time, I think, for him to get into turn 4. 8 seconds. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that is time. All right. And that is stint 4 over. An incredible comeback drive by Buffalo. I guarantee you his teammates, maybe in NFL racing, will be absolutely ecstatic with that. And LMP TVR with a great recovery run in the Cadillac. It's not a stint win, but we know now that, at least in TVR's hands, this thing is an absolute weapon. So we're just gonna wait a little bit as the distances get properly recorded. Error is in 3rd. 4th, here's Noble. Nismo, credit to Nismo, actually ran Noble down, but just could not get by him at the end there. 6 is Darkin. I keep thinking it's Draken. 6 is Darkin. Net Audi. 7th is X3 Veloso. 8th is Scalarity. Best run thus far. Can't really see the car from this angle. 9th is Flux Nova. There, now you can see both 8th and 9th from this angle. That works. Angle that slowly moves the entire time. That is odd. As you see that balloon kind of pop in and out. Really odd. C1 Crazy in 10th. So a 10th place finish after not being able to finish stint 3. 11th is ZR Amarillas. 12th, Nuke X, 16-17. 13th, NWR Enzo. 14th, D. Chris Slow, maybe could have been a 12th or maybe even an 11th, but Slow pushed the tires a little too far and lost a lot of time. And then last of all of our runners, ESR Eclectic will end up being a lap down at the end of this. So right now, we're just going to wait until we see Buffalo move. Once we see Buffalo move a bit. Yeah, once we see Buffalo move, and we'll know they're in the final stage of getting the final stint here. Excuse me. Kind of crazy how close first, second, and third all are. They're all within the same corner, realistically, at the end of this. Needle just moved by Noble there. I wonder if there's a little bit of a hiccup there with one of them going pause. All right, it looks like TVR is the one moving instead of Buffalo. I think. Oh, maybe not. Maybe it was just a pause issue there. Don't know. I want to try and broadcast Stint 5 if I can. I will be pushing to try and get our podium finishers here into the broadcast, if at all possible. Don't know if it will work. But we are running a little bit late here in this stint, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to broadcast Stint 5 or not. Does look like a lot of people are already moving into the next lobby. Doesn't make me exactly very confident. I'm going to go ahead and send invites out. All right. Trying to talk to some of our podium finishers here. Ooh. Okay, 1 second. Let me include my audio as well. LMP TVR, include your audio. Second place finish here in Stint 4. An incredible drive, a very intense drive. What do you have to say about that performance today?
It was pretty rough, I'm not gonna lie. Start of the race, pretty D1 mid, I'm not gonna lie. I started like 7th, there was some weird fighting going on. By the time I got to like 4th, 3rd, there was ECR or whatever the fuck his name was, sending stupid moves on me left and right. Lost a lot of time there, but managed to fight through. Managed to get through the pack, which I was quite happy with as early as I did. Started making time on, I think it was Error and Nismo. Kept making silly mistakes, got past Error eventually. He was just a little off pace, I think. And then continued to do the same thing, just making silly mistakes over and over and over again. I must have caught up to Nismo and been within like dive bomb range, I guess, on 3 separate occasions, and every single time I messed it up. So not the most comfortable in terms of my driving, and I blame that on my carpal tunnel syndrome, I'm not gonna lie. My hands were stinging. It was so poor. It was not good. But yeah, happy with P2, very good distance, considering. I think that's got to have beaten out a lot of the majority in B lobby, I would have thought. Maybe, if I'm lucky. So we'll see. It's quite a nice distance, that's the main thing. I'm happy with the race so far. I'm happy with the move I made. I saw that you called it an incredible move when I were at the outside of the second last corner. Thought that was good.
All right. Real quick question, TVR. Who is driving the Cadillac in Stint 5 and Stint 6?
I'm doing Stint 5, and then Stint 6 is GGA Karek, who is...
All right, TVR, in that case,
Right on
please do me a
pace.
favor and send me an invite to the lobby for the next stint, because I will be trying to stream Stint 5 as well. Real quickly, I want to go ahead and talk to our third place finisher, Error 404. Error, go ahead, include your audio. Another podium finish. Incredible drive. What do you have to say about that race? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Incredible race. What do you have to say about that drive?
I'm not feeling very good because there was an incident in the final part of the race, but the other was all good, and I'm happy for that. Thank you, TVR, for that race, and good luck for incoming things.
Yeah, man,
Right.
Aero, it was real fun. It was really fun. I enjoyed that race.
All right, well, that's the word from our second and third place finishers. I did get a message from Scored that he would try and jump in to talk with us once they've got distances sorted here. So I'm not going to shut this yet until I know that Scored has gotten into the party. But if TVR, once he gets into the Stint 5 lobby, I will go ahead and move over there. It's going to be a real quick pickup and break down. So once I get done interviewing Scored Buffalo, I will end this stream, and then in 60 seconds, I will restart and immediately jump into a Stint 5 stream. But your winner is Scored Buffalo in that IFEA number 31 machine.
He honestly caught me by surprise so much. Like, coming out of the pits for the final stint. I was fighting with Nismo. At the time, he was like 3rd or 4th when he went in. He stayed out, like, late. And I guess the free air was really good, because by the time he'd come out of the pit, he was in front of me by some distance as well. I'm gonna get in the call.
All right, send me an invite when you're in there.
Okay.
Oh, there we are. Scored Buffalo coming into the party now. All right, Buffalo, I'll keep this real quick. Go ahead, include your audio. Bad run for this car in Stint 1. Didn't even finish Stint 2. A podium slipped away in Stint 3, but you finally won Stint 4. Incredible drive. What do you have to say about that run today?
To be honest, I felt like if anything was gonna go well, it probably happened in this stint. And considering the how early I went up in the early race, and then you had the four car train with the top 4. That at that point it was such a strategy game, and I was like, if I'm gonna get past these guys, it's gonna be through a pit stop, and that's exactly what happened. And I feel like this is pretty much payback for Stint 3, where I just got engine damage for whatever reason, and it slipped away.
All right, well, a fantastic drive either way. Maybe Racing is running Stint 5. Who's going to be running Stint 6 on your team?
I will.
All right, we'll be looking forward to seeing you maybe repeat a Stint victory in the final stint of the day. Thanks for jumping in and talking with us, Scored. Great performance out there and great drive from outside of the top 10 to first. Some of the best racing I've ever seen.
Thank you.
All right, well, that will wrap up our broadcast for Stint 4. I'm going to close this stream. Then in less than a minute, I will immediately turn the stream back on for Stint 5 here. Didn't think my voice would hold out this long, but I've still got my vocal cords under me somehow. So we're going to get underway for our 5th stint here very shortly. Till then, I've been your host, Insanely Leader 13. Thank you very much for joining. Farewell and goodbye.